exactly what we aim for when we go into fasting, whether Christians or Muslims. But that being said, we have had so much news making rounds on social media, but also in the mainstream media. And of course, as Good Morning Uganda, what we do is bring you some of these stories and of course topical discussions. And we even give you an opportunity to weigh in with your opinions through the WhatsApp numbers that we will be sharing later on in our newsreel. But also you can follow us on X and share your opinions even there. The hashtag is UBCGMU. Now I'm joined by Chantal Olive Akandinda, Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono, and Jerome Paul Sonko. And together we usher you into this beautiful Wednesday. But before I greet them, before I check on them to see how they are doing, who is that woman in your life that you're crushing on today? I think for me, I've been saying it subtly, I've been being vague, but the woman I crush on, my woman of the month, actually not just this day, my woman of Women's Month is Samia Suluhu, the president of Tanzania. But I wonder who Sonko is crushing on. Good morning, Sonko.
Good morning to you and good morning to our dear viewer. Today is the day of happiness, so I hope everyone is happy. And it's a day you have to share happiness to each one of you and make sure that everyone around you sees you smiling or sees you happy. You may smile when you're not happy, but of course try to make sure that in every hardship you have, you at least have something that will drive your happiness in one way or the other. It can be physical, emotional, or financial, if I'm to put it in that way. But good morning, and the woman I'm crushing on today is none other than Anne Juko. Anne Juko is going to be leaving the Stanbic Bank Uganda, and she will be working on the regional bank for now, and we are waiting to see who will be replacing her. She's a woman who has actually, given lots of inspiration to every other woman, especially in the banking sector in Uganda, in the corporate world. I don't know why Chantal is overlooking at me like that. But Anne Juko is this particular woman who inspires me. I have not crushed on as many women in this country as I crush on Anne, simply because of her tremendous work in the banking sector and how she has been able to inspire me as a man, indeed, to go bigger for anything I would wish to go for. Nonetheless, I'm still crushing on all the women in banking and of course all of you who aspire to be just like that particular.
Seems like there is a cough going around in the studio here.
Yeah.
Especially when Sonko is speaking about the amazing Anne Juko. Sonko has crushed on this woman for so long, but of course for good reasons. Even I as a woman, I crush on her, but I will leave that to Sonko. Today, my woman of the day is Samia Suluhu. But Chantal Olive, you were choking on something. Good morning.
Good morning, Olive. Good morning, our viewer. Thank you for joining us and thank you for keeping it UBC Television. We are glad that you get to catch the show every single morning. Now, when Sonko was talking about Anne Juko, I could really tell he was trying so hard not to smile a bit and trying to keep it. But we understand Sonko. She's a phenomenal woman, so definitely you're justified. You are really justified.
If woman of substance was a person, it would be Anne Juko.
Yes. So I can really understand Sonko's place, and my brother, I really do get it. Oh. I really do. But my woman crush, it's not a specific woman. I am looking at a woman that wakes up every single morning to change the narrative on one, how women have been doing things and how we have been perceived, especially negatively. So, for example, men usually say that when a woman finds out your weakness, she will use it against you. Yeah? So I am crushing on a woman that does not use, that is not manipulative to the point of using the man's weakness and making him feel even worse. When a man confides in you, hopefully you're not the woman that wakes up one morning when you're having an argument and you are using it against him. So for all the women that know how not to involve such issues in conversations, I am crushing on you today. Let's change the narrative. Let's not be the women that men look at and say, she's the reason I don't talk to her, because every time I do, it was going to come up in the conversation. She's going to make me feel like I shouldn't have shared anything. Yet, in my opinion, your woman or your man should be your friend or your best friend, because the best way to build a relationship, one of the best, is through friendship. So the women who understand friendship for the men, I'm crushing on you today.
Well, and speaking about women changing the narrative, the race for the Dolo Woman Member of Parliament is hot as we speak. Yesterday, the campaigns came to an end, but of course, by the time they came to an end, there is a specific time that is stipulated by the Electoral Commission as to when campaigns should stop. But still, even past that time, there was still candidates were still combing different areas for votes. Now, when we speak about women changing the narrative, here we are with 7 candidates all vying to become the next woman member of parliament after the lady that used to represent that constituency passed away early this year, and that is Cecilia Ogwal. Now, among others, her daughter is vying to replace the mom, and of course NRM has a candidate, NUP has a candidate, and then we have several independents. Now, may the best women win. I like to see women breaking through the glass ceiling and making change in our communities, and what better way to do this than through an election to stand for your people and for your gender. Well, I have men with me, and another man is Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning to you. I'm observing something strange about you. I must say, but I just want to thank the man behind the scene.
Strange?
But for me, I'll crush on all female morticians.
Morticians? What does that mean? English. Woo.
Women that work in the mortuary.
Oh, okay. I was 2 days old.
So,
Advanced Learners Dictionary.
They do a very great job, I must say. And I always want to look out for those extraordinary women that step out to venture into fields that have been dominated by men. So all female morticians, you do a great job in that last office. Now, yesterday there's a story that disturbed me so much. And that is a story where the dog killed, I think, a 7-month baby. And people are like, Robert, you're a dog breeder. How are you dealing dogs? Now see what these animals are doing. One of the things I want to tell people, if you can, consult an expert before getting the dog. That's very important, because they also look at the nature of your kennel. As I try to move around my area, where I have a number of people that bought dogs from me, and I found that almost 50% of these dogs were under stress.
Stress?
Were under stress. I don't know who told Ugandans that a dog's kennel must be very small, very tiny, it can't even rotate. Then with this heat, believe you me, it is as short as this, you know, then there is an iron sheet on top of it. The dog is totally under stress. It's fed once, there is no water. Some believe a dog doesn't take water. Then others, for aggression, they think it's complete isolation. Now what happens, even if it's, because some have pet dogs, those are very okay because they are mingling with everybody. But even when you have a guard dog and it's aggressive, you must socialize with this dog. The people home. While some of us walk our dogs, have boys to walk them, that even this dog along walking, it will know who the enemy are when they come into its territory. But the problem is someone comes and buys a puppy from somebody who is given a puppy, they have a kafani kennel behind the house or in a dark corner. This dog feeds only once.
It only comes out in the evening.
It only comes
at 10
out in the
PM.
evening when it's dark. At 5 you're locking it. It's known to one person. There is no element of socialization at all. And at the end of the day, this dog, when it's exposed to a stranger, the first thing, because a person in a home shouldn't be a stranger to your dog. If you have you shouldn't bark for someone who stays within the home. That means you don't release this dog
To get to know the people around.
get to know the people around. Open. Let the dog know the people around. Let's socialize. But above all, please check how are you treating this dog. Because once a dog is stressed, it's very easy for you to attack and hurt people. But if you can, consult experts. Go to the police canine unit. They have They can give you, I'm going to get a dog. Come to experts like us. Let's give you some information about how you should take care of your dog and which breed is best suitable. For Ugandans are very funny. Someone says, I want a pit bull. But you're a very young family. What are you taking a pit bull for? You know, someone says, I want a Rottweiler. And you're like, but, you know, how many people do you have? It is me. Yeah, it is me and my 3-year-old. Now, this breed you're taking, these are breeds that in some states were banned.
Yeah, because
in
they're not
USA, they're not allowed. Some of these breeds you're bringing to keep home. Second and most funny, these are breeds that require a lot of your time to socialize. You work in office, then I don't know how many I've gotten free of charge when someone says, I'm going to Limited, and just get it socialized, then market it again, and does a very good work. So I was very touched by that story. People are thinking dogs are dangerous, dogs are killing people. No, the dogs have no problem, unless it's a rabid dog that has rabies, acquired rabies. But the dogs don't have the problem. It's us that have the problem because we do not know how to look after these dogs.
Okay. Now, in this case, the dog ran out of its kennel and attacked the child and beat it to death. What do you think that could have been? You think it's still a case of not being socialized, or maybe it was a rabid dog?
It wasn't a rabid dog because a rabid dog usually gets rabies from another dog. Now, it comes and beats it or something like that. Now, this is a dog that is confined in a fence. So it couldn't have had exposure unless we are told that it could sneak out and didn't have anything like a
Do you think it could have been the heat stroke, effects of the heat?
One, this dog could have been isolated. The maid, the baby was strangers to it. And remember, it's used to guarding its territory, protecting its territory. So a dog will react to a stranger and will attack. Then second, there's what we call panic. You know, when a dog comes to you, your response, the panic you put, causes the action of a dog. You know that if you come into someone's fence and a dog is, because a dog and a snake are the very few animals that have that sense and hormone you release when you're scared. That's why they will tell you a snake, I hear, I have not confirmed this, that may not. So when you get scared, there is some hormone
that comes off of you.
That comes off of you, and this dog will get that. And usually it makes, yes, it smells the fear, and it will respond. But this was an issue of not proper. This dog was isolated, that is a fact. I'm yet to understand the size of the kennel and all that, to determine if it's it and all that. So, greatly, dogs have no problem. It's us that keep these dogs that have to check how best can we give them that environment for them to be safe and do our work best.
Well, if you are into pets and you like to keep pets like dogs around you, I think Robert has given us sound advice. Go to the police canine unit, get advice, but also there are so many experts, professionals when it comes to dogs around us today. So you don't have to do this alone. You can work with someone. They can give you information and guidance on how to manage, yes, so that you avert danger, and of course you stop accidents and even maybe death, like in the case of this family. But anyway, we move on and we delve into the local news right this minute.
And we'll begin with campaigns ending in the Dolo Women Member of Parliament race. Now, yesterday, campaigns to replace former Women Member of Parliament for Dolo District, the late Cecilia Ogwal, came to a closure at 5 p.m. Although candidates continued to hunt for votes, even after the recommended time by the Electoral Commission, 7 candidates were nominated for the race, but 1 independent candidate stepped down in favor of the NRM candidate. At Barayom village, Okwagu, residents could be seen seated attentively listening to the FDC candidate make her final points as the campaigns ended. After 20 minutes, the team quickly left the venue for Adoko sub-county. Adoko is the birthplace of the late Cecilia Ogwal, whose daughter is also in the race. Rosemary Award received warm welcome in Adoko. At Kona Quarter, a huge crowd was mobilized to accompany the candidate to the venue. In their convoy, FDC traversed the district Canvassing for votes. Patrick Amuriat Oboy ready for the election come Thursday this week. Other MPs who joined the FDC campaign team yesterday included Gilbert Olanya, Geoffrey Ekanya, Helen Acham Jr., and of Biteke and former MP Odongo Oto. UPC, on the other hand, began their last rally from Tikere in Agwatre sub-county through Dokoro South, then back to Dokoro North. A few minutes to 5 p.m., UPC arrived at Atabu Primary School, the same venue where President Museveni campaigned earlier in the day. Candidates majorly used the last day of campaign to do voter sensitization. Due to pressure, most candidates continue with vote hunting past the recommended time by the Electoral Commission. Campaigns ended yesterday and candidates will have today to rest and get briefing from the Electoral Commission. Voting for Dokolo District Woman Member of Parliament is Thursday this week. Six candidates have remained in the race after an independent candidate stepped down yesterday.
Well, moving on, authorities in South Sudan have issued more warnings on the excessive heat in South Sudan. The warning follows a plane crash incident at Yida airstrip that was caused by excessive heat that left 2 passengers injured. Tuesday morning, a cargo plane crash incident was registered at Yida airstrip due to weather issues. The incident was confirmed by the director of Juba Airport, Kwol. According to Kwol, the cargo plane crashed at Yida airstrip, but all the 5 passengers on board survived with minor injuries. Officials at Juba Civil Aviation Authority have associated the untimely plane crash incident to mainly excessive heat that has hit South Sudan, causing rise in temperatures to 41 degrees Celsius. Last month, several warnings were put out on these projected continuous heat waves across the country as the country approaches the rainy season. This weather pattern led to the closure of schools in South Sudan last week, a directive that was issued by the Ministry of Health of South Sudan as a measure to counter the impacts of the excessive heat experienced in the country. Temperature scores in South Sudan currently range from 38 degrees to 40 degrees Celsius in different locations. The current temperatures in South Sudan vary from 38 degrees to 41. The public was advised against movement in the sun to avoid exposure to heat, which could lead to several health matters like dehydration and cancer. Meteorological experts have urged government and the public to plant trees to conserve the environment.
And moving on, the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury, Dr. Ramadan Gobi, has failed to account for 1.4 trillion supplementary budget that existed the Treasury as supplementary expenditure in the financial year 2022-2023. Dr. Gobi and his technical staff had appeared before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament to substantiate on the Auditor General's audit queries on the consolidated financial statement of the financial year end June 2023. Officials from the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, led by the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury, before the Public Accounts Committee, failed to account for this money. According to the Auditor General's report for the financial year end June 2023, supplementary expenditure of 1.4 trillion shillings exists the consolidated fund without clear areas for expenditure. Whereas the Public Finance Management Act grants the Ministry of Finance powers to authorize 3% of the supplementary expenditure without parliamentary approval, the PSST, Ramadan Ngogi, told the 3% under the Act caters for areas that are difficult to postpone or delay. Some MPs were eager on the criteria for initiating the supplementary budget expenditure in question. Ngobi, however, took the MPs to a fishing expedition, urging them to differentiate their mandate of appropriation from budget allocation.
Well, moving on, the ICT technocrats from 7 East African community countries are in Kampala to strategize on possible ways of developing framework that fosters digital harmonization. The Principal Information Technology Officer for East African Community, Engineer Murenzi, revealed it's high time the region opens its doors to a single digital space where communication via data usage and voice calling across the region's borders flows unhindered. This digital acceleration agenda for East African Community targets over 350 million East African community population into a single communication space. The initiative puts in place structures that will enable one stay connected to the internet and use data-driven applications unimpeded. Despite efforts to remove trade barriers within the East African Community region, the differing communication regulations continue to stampede a seamless flow of services. So there are discussions on internet penetration and expanding broadband infrastructure for the East African region. Well, now we cross over to the international side of the news with Chantal Olive.
Well, internationally, in case you want to know what is happening in the side of HIV, now scientists say they have successfully eliminated HIV from infected cells using Nobel Prize-winning CRISPR gene editing technology. Working like scissors, but at the molecular level, it cuts DNA so bad bits can be removed or inactivated. The hope is to ultimately be able to rid the body entirely of the virus, although much more work is needed to check it would be safe and effective. Existing HIV medicines can stop the virus but not eliminate it. The University of Amsterdam team presenting a synopsis or abstract of their early findings at a medical conference this week stress their work remains merely proof of concept and will not become a cure for HIV anytime soon. And Dr. James Dixon, the Stem Cell and Gene Therapy Technologies Associate Professor at the University of Nottingham, agrees, saying the full findings still require scrutiny. Much more work will be needed to demonstrate results in these cell assays can happen in an entire body for a future therapy, he said. Moving on, World Health Organization says that increasing number of children in Gaza are on the brink of death due to acute hunger, with newborns simply dying because of low birth weight. The death toll from Israeli attack on Nazareth refugee camp rises to 27. Another Israeli attack on an aid distribution team in Gaza City killed at least 23. Israel's Foreign Minister Yisrael Katz condemns Canada's move to ban future arms exports, warning that history will judge the action harshly. At least 31,819 Palestinians have been killed and 73,934 injured in the Israeli attacks on Gaza since October 7th. Coming back to Africa, an elite unit of South Africa's police has raided the Johannesburg home of the Speaker of Parliament, Nosiviwe Mpasi Nkakula, over corruption allegations. She has been accused of soliciting bribes in return for awarding contracts when she served as Defense Minister. The Speaker steadfastly upholds her strong conviction of innocence, said a statement from Parliament. The police unit was acting on behalf of the state prosecutors who have been carrying out an investigation, and the statement from Parliament said that the police conducted a search and seizure procedure at Ms. Mapisa's residence, adding that she welcomed the investigators into her home, cooperating fully during the 5-hour search. The 67-year-old veteran of the anti-apartheid struggle became Speaker in 2021. Before that, she served as Defense Minister for 7 years, and during her time in that post, Ms. Mapisa allegedly made several demands for money amounting to $120,000 from the owner of a company to secure a tender to transport army equipment back to South Africa from elsewhere in the continent, the Business Day newspaper reported. Now, speaking matters climate, heat waves, floods, droughts, wildfires, and rapidly intensifying tropical cyclones caused misery and mayhem upending everyday life for millions and inflicting many billions of dollars in economic loss, according to the World Meteorological Organization State of the Global Climate 2023 report. Sirens are blaring across all major indicators. Some records aren't just chart-topping, they are chart-busting. The changes are speeding up, said UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres in a video message for the launch. Based on data from multiple agencies, the study confirmed that 2023 was the warmest year on record, with a global average near-surface temperature at 1.45 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial baseline. It crowned the warmest 10-year period on record. Dr. Celeste Saulo, Secretary General of the World Meteorological Organization, at the launch of the State of the Global Climate 2023 report. The scientific knowledge about climate change has existed for more than 5 decades, and yet we missed an entire generation of opportunity, World Meteorological Organization Secretary General Celeste said, presenting the report to the media in Geneva. That's it for what is happening across different parts of the world and matters climate.
Well, thank you so much, Olive. Now, Jerome Paul Sonko has so much for us in the press review.
Well, the New Vision is highlighting today over 12,000 schools to be renovated, as 120 billion shillings has been earmarked for project, as list of beneficiary districts is inside today's New Vision. And then also matrimony, former St. Savio brother weds, as in Martha's tragedy, family dog mauls Dr. Obuku's child. Theft, Member of Parliament loses 118 million shillings at Washing Bay. The Member of Parliament is at the front page of the New Vision. Now, President Museveni rallies Dokolo for Adongo, victory of President Museveni in Dokolo yesterday. And then moving forward, the Daily Monitor, experts weigh in after dog kills baby. What goes on in a dog's mind? The good, bad dogs to keep, why a dog can be aggressive, age, care key in dog behavior. The Daily Monitor is giving you details. Now, 7 arrested as second school catches fire. Read about that in the Daily Monitor. Now, President names new board for National Oil Company. Then also, President Museveni asks Dokolo to vote NRM candidate, as more men name spouses next of kin than women, according to a study. Now, and of course, the Daily Nation from Kenya says killer roads claim 25 lives, as Mokomen orders NTSA back on highways, driver retests and medicals, as housing tax cuts start this month. Schools are under investigation for selling Form 1 slots. Read about that in the Daily Nation. And then in the health perspectives, no end to patients' pain as doctors issue another strike notice over KRA tax push. That is in the Daily Nation. Now, lastly, from the press review, the Citizen newspaper, the Rising Women Citizen series, Monira touts teamwork and adaptability as key factors, as Tanzania has bright future in ICT, the experts reveal. Then also, Y Bank of Tanzania has scaled down Forex market involvement. Read about that in the Citizen. Then Minister's ultimatum on BRT private partner. Also, ESC Cabs regional banks autonomy. That is with the Citizen, and bringing us to the end of our press review this Wednesday.
Well, for more details in any of those papers, all you have to do is go to your nearby supermarket or stall and get yourself a paper so that you can dig deeper into the issues that have been highlighted in the press review. For now, we will take a short break and we'll leave you with Mariah Carey and Neo, Angels Cry. Uganda. What we do is bring you some of these stories and of course topical discussions, and we even give you an opportunity to weigh in with your opinions through the WhatsApp numbers that we will be sharing later on in our newsreel. But also you can follow us on X and share your opinions even there. The hashtag is UBCGMU. Now I'm joined by Chantal Olive Akandinda, Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono and Jerome Paul Sonko, and together we usher you into this beautiful Wednesday. But before I greet them, before I check on them to see how they are doing, who is that woman in your life that you're crushing on today? I think for me, I've been saying it subtly, I've been being vague, but the woman I crush on, my woman of the month, actually not just this day, my woman of Women's Month is Samia Suluhu, the president of Tanzania. But I wonder who Sonko is crushing on. Good morning, Sonko.
Good morning to you and good morning to our dear viewer. Today is the day of happiness, so I hope everyone is happy. And it's a day you have to share happiness to each one of you and make sure that everyone around you sees you smiling or sees you happy. You may smile when you're not happy, but of course try to make sure that in every hardship you have, you at least have something that will drive your happiness in one way or the other. It can be physical, emotional, or financial, if I'm to put it in that way. But good morning, and the woman I'm crushing on today is none other than Anne Juko. Anne Juko is going to be leaving the Stanbic Bank Uganda, and she'll be working on the regional bank for now, and we are waiting to see who will be replacing her. She's a woman who has actually, given lots of inspiration to every other woman, especially in the banking sector in Uganda, in the corporate world. I don't know why Chantal is overlooking at me like that. But Anne Juko is this particular woman who inspires me. I have not crushed on as many women in this country as I crush on Anne, simply because of her tremendous work in the banking sector and how she has been able to inspire me as a man, indeed, to go bigger for anything I would wish to go for. Nonetheless, I'm still crushing on all the women in banking and of course all of you who aspire to be just like that particular
Seems
lady.
like there is a cough going around in the studio here.
Yeah.
Especially when Sonko is speaking about the amazing Anne Juko. Sonko has crushed on this woman for so long, but of course for good reasons. Even I as a woman, I crush on her, but I will leave that to Sonko. Today, my woman of the day is Samia Suluhu. But Chantal Olive, you were choking on something. Good morning.
Good morning, Olive. Good morning, our viewer. Thank you for joining us and thank you for keeping it UBC Television. We are glad that you get to catch the show every single morning. Now, when Sonko was talking about Anne Juko, I could really tell he was trying so hard not to smile a bit and try
every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Well, thank you so much for sticking with us up from 6:30 up until this minute. Time check is 8 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock on this Wednesday morning. This is Good Morning Uganda. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, together with Jerome Paul Sonko and Chantal Olive Akandinda. Now, this is the time when we have a newsreel where you can also share your opinions regarding the tabled topic of discussion. And today we delve into matters education, but we speak about the part of education that not so many Ugandans are actually talking about. The part of education that is where we are headed as a country, and a venture that we think might actually help the youth, especially in the job market, and that is vocational education that is emerging as a powerful tool for equipping youth with the skills and knowledge in today's competitive job market. Now, back in the day, and to this day, by the way, some people, when they hear vocational education, in most cases, they're negative about it, because back in the day, when you would hear about vocational education, what you would hear is someone to go and learn tailoring, someone to go and maybe go to a carpentry shop. By the way, today, welding. But now here is the good news. Some of these industries in the semi-formal sector, if I could say that, are actually garnering a lot of taxes for the country. Think about it this way. Most of the furniture we have in the country today, some of the furniture you buy from high-end stores, maybe along Kampala Road, thinking that they're imported. Guess what? They are made locally. And the people doing these jobs are doing amazing, amazing work. The finish is splendid. And then let's get into welding. Some areas like in Chirai, it is a huge construction site. Everywhere you pass, someone is actually constructing. Guess who is making the windows, the doors to these houses? It is through welding. Back in the day, we used to think welding is just to patch up one thing here and there and then get into it. But anyway, digging deeper into this conversation, I'll come to you, Mr. Jerome Paul. And allow me here to say that you're still a young man. And I'm sure that you're surrounded by many men, you're surrounded by men that are even younger than you. And we know that universities are churning out hundreds of thousands of students every single year. Actually, we have many universities, and pretty much every month you're seeing a graduation happening somewhere. Yes. And all of these are expecting to get the same job as you. But us in the job market, we do understand that, first of all, the jobs are limited. But secondly, some people may not even get what they think they deserve to earn. So when you hear this conversation surrounding vocational education, what are your first thoughts?
Well, my first thoughts looking at how they're emerging. And when you look at the emergence of these vocational education institutes, have been majorly due to what you've put in your introduction of the fact that we have so many graduates, but we have less jobs. And what these vocational institutes actually provide from a broader look of things is they give a graduate who has passed through this kind of system the chance to start off their own careers. How? Because when you look at the training and let's say when you look at the vocational training and this entire system of vocational education and training system, it clearly gives one training. Now, in the old curriculum of universities or colleges in Uganda, you do realize that most of these particular institutions, especially universities, have not been giving students hands-on skills or training. Many have been so much with the theory, and they've been so theoretical. And the chance that these vocational institutes give is that they provide one with a skill that is needed in the world market today. Because the beauty about the jobs that many Ugandans are doing today is that even when you're in a workspace, you'll get to realize that you will need an extra skill. That is not a skill you learned through your career. As let's say if I told you you're on a bachelor's or something, you realize that there are some programs in universities that will not give you the chance to go practical. Or the only chance you have to go practical is when you're going in for internship. And field training is a bit difficult for someone who has no clue about what they want. And with vocational, institutes, one of the things I've actually looked at here is the fact that they are growing. Because when you look at the TVET systems, or what we're having as schools that are pushing for the TVET system, which is the vocational training and the vocational training institute, rather system, it is looking at, we have over 800 that are privately owned as of now, institutes that are actually pushing for this. And then we also have close to 145 government aided institutes that are pushing for the same, trying to incorporate vocational education and training within their curriculum. But this is because of the fact that the world has changed. Back in the time, if you've gone to a school that is, for example, in the Luganda dialect, normally we could say, oyasomelamu technical. So if you had gone to technical, many people would think that either you've done hairdressing, or you've done, tailoring. They would look at very few of those particular programs and courses. Now, surprisingly, when you look at what the technical institutes are actually giving to the job market today, they're giving us well-equipped science students who are so good in engineering, welding, even craftsmen. People who are either carpenters or someone who is good with, with art, with drawing arts and everything, or even architecture, if I'm to put it in a broader aspect. But the beauty about it is that it's giving our generation the opportunity to exercise their skills, something that the old curriculum was hiding from us. Because even if you're to trace back the journey of Uganda's education, we started off with colleges, and most of the people who went through these colleges were going practical in most cases, and they had the chance of even going away from Uganda to the UK or to the West to even add more skills to what they already learned in, for example, the earlier Makerere College of the days before it turned to university. And what I've actually I've loved about today's generation is that lately parents are embracing vocational learning, which wasn't the case back in the day. Because back in the day, if someone is done with P7 and you try to tell your parent that I want to go for vocational education, first of all, you're going to be looked at as a failure.
That's true.
And senior 4, same thing. Parents would say, I want to see my child finish ordinary level or even advanced level, because they would look at the other way as something that people just rush to in case things have failed. But today people are actually choosing it as a first priority, which shows you they've understood what the job space looks like. And that means you have to add a skill to yourself. And the only chance you have is to get into these vocational training institutes at a very young age.
Okay, I hear you. And according to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, the unemployment rate as of 2020 stood at 13.3%. Now, imagine all the students that we churn out from different universities every single year. Pretty much every month, there is a graduation happening in a university or institute around the country. But still, in as much as vocational training is important, and I like the fact that Sonko did mention that some parents are now enrolling their children as early as after P7 into vocational institutes. Now, Chantal, in as much as we understand that learning a skill is where the job market has gone today, you must have a skill because your degree alone is not important. Would you say, as someone that has gone through all the levels of education in this country, P7, ordinary level and advanced level, would you recommend to someone out there to skip at least ordinary level and just take their child to a vocational institute? Or there is something that ordinary level or even advanced level adds on to a student?
If only we could make some adjustments on how the ordinary and advanced level curriculum looks like, then I would highly recommend it. Highly. But
we have a new curriculum.
I don't want to sound like someone out there, but there's a conversation you'll have with someone and you'll wonder, what is Said doing for me right now in my life? During that time, probably I could have learned how to do something, and it could be taking me places at the moment. So it also goes back down to, where does this child want to go, or what do they want? So
would a child in P7 is around 13 years or 12. Do they really know where they want to go?
The fortunate bit, I'm speaking to someone who is a parent, so you will agree with me that especially early child development is really important. And when you compare how we groom our children and the Western world, you realize that in the Western world, this kid at least will have like 3 options to work with when they're growing up. They're studying you. Where is your focus? Where is your energy? Where do you function best? And then that is the area in which they will groom you to be able to say, you can take this direction. When that child, for example, goes to ordinary level, let's say, they already know the direction they want to take, or at least they have a clue. How many students out of, not this conversation of what do you want to be? I want to be a doctor. But it's only because they've seen their father as a doctor or an uncle or a doctor on TV speaking eloquently.
That's all. Adverts.
Thank you. That's all. But if we are to be genuine and go back down to deep down, do these kids know what they are talking about? Probably not, because now they don't know themselves. They don't know what they want at the moment. That is why what you wanted to be, probably, for most people, what you wanted to be in primary changed when you were in O-level, changed when you were in Form 5, and when you reached campus, you did a different course altogether. And now you're saying, that course was for my parents, I took it back, now I'm doing what I want to do. You get it? So that means you've wasted a number of years apparently studying for your parents. So it goes back down to, are we doing early child development? When we get to identify these things, you will know whether this child can proceed with O and A level, or after A level or after O level, they can branch off. I know people who have finished their O level, done very well in chemistry and biology and physics, and they've not gone to advanced level, but they've gone to nursing. They've gone to be midwives, and they are doing pretty well for themselves right now, both in the country and out of the country. So what am I trying to say? In some cases, it would be highly recommended depending on where the child wants to go. But we can't ignore the fact that vocational studies are very, very important. And maybe the sad bit is we have a lot of myths that surround vocational education, and that is not just in Uganda. Even in the Western countries, they will tell you the biggest percentage of people perceive vocational training as if it's for people who do not perform well academically. And that was the origin of these. But then again, have we gone back down to assess why are these kids performing poorly academically? You're forcing this child in Form 4, for example, or in O-level to do history, but this child is a mathematician.
I hear what you're saying, but as a person, all of us here, really, we have gone through P7,
all those levels, yes.
O-level, A-level, campus.
Yes.
I have a diploma and a bachelor's in communications. And for me, and I think I represent a few parents here, and I'm coming back to you still. Not parents, many people. If you say that you're forcing a child to go through O-level, my mindset here is maybe it's important enough for a child to at least learn to reason to a certain degree, because there are people you speak to and you're like, are you sure you went through your O-levels? You get, because even as you run a business, and correct me if I'm wrong, you need a certain quality of thinking and reasoning, decision making, negotiation skills. Will you honestly have achieved these if you just jump through and go to a vocational school?
If you got me well, I said you would have to assess and get to know whether it's really necessary or not. However, I also recommended that we have adjustments made in our curriculum to suit some of these things. If we are talking about, for example, communication, negotiation, to be honest, my first encounter with negotiation was probably in the market with my mother. To be honest, in my O-level, no one taught me negotiation, but I learned negotiation at campus when I was doing procurement, a business course. You get what I'm telling you? So
did they even get into the thick of things, or it was just...
Well, personally, because it was, negotiation is part of procurement, so definitely they will go into the detail.
But there are many course units that don't have that.
Yes. So in this case, you realize that maybe if, for example, I had stopped at O-level, I definitely wouldn't have got that part of, the professional part of negotiation. However, if anything was structured the way that would help me start early, I probably wouldn't waste, okay, not say waste, but wouldn't spend the 2 years, choice of words. I wouldn't spend the 2 years probably in my A-level, but I would be doing...
But so you're banning to say something.
But I think when you look at our O-level and the technical, the most worrying state of our O-level, okay, there is a change of it, has always been looking at how we only study to cram. Because when you look at our education system back in the day, it was always designed on what we cram. Even when you look at the grading,
today.
Yes. Yeah. When you look at the grading, a student who has actually passed highly with 18.8, 18.10, or even
20 points or whatever.
Exactly. This is the person who is good with their brain. They've crammed. They know what they've taught them on the chalkboard and everything. Now, the worry is, how do we turn the cram work into practical? That is where the worry has been.
Vocational schools come in.
And to me, we can still even eliminate the ordinary level and put this kind of vocational education. How? Because when you look at what the ordinary level provides, it gives a social capital kind of thing for many of the students, honestly. And the worry as to why you mentioned the negotiation and everything is how you can easily tell that this one didn't go to O-level but went to a vocational institute is because of how most of them act while they're in vocational institutes.
It's also the perception we have.
You know, not only the perception.
I personally, speaking from the perspective of, first of all, someone that has gone through these levels,
yes,
but also secondly,
it's maybe because
parent,
of how you interact with them. But if we have the same facilities that ordinary schools are having, and then you just encrypt the other curriculum into the ordinary level.
So, Sonko, let me get maybe what you're suggesting.
Because there's practical and theory even in the vocational
understand.
Schools.
Are you maybe suggesting that, yeah, we can have the vocational learning and just pick a few prevalent or most important aspects of what we have in O-level right now,
and push them the other side.
Push them the other side. Anyway, so moving on, that
the
is
most
an
important
interesting
bit of it is the communication, because I think one thing our old curriculum gives students today is the communication and the confidence.
Okay. Now, putting into perspective everything that you have raised, both of you, because government has really done its part in extending vocational training to different parts of the country. We have more, and you mentioned how many vocational institutes?
Close to 145 and then 800 privatized.
800.
So
okay,
actually,
fine.
when you put all of them together, you have over 300, over 300 vocational institutes.
All right, so over 300 vocational institutes, but still, in as much as we are pushing this, and it is a good venture, we still have negative or biases towards vocational training, in as much as we have so many unemployed youth. So in your perspective, what can the government do to, first of all, change the attitudes towards vocational training, both for the parents and the students? Because some students believe that if they do not go to university, if they do not if they do not study maybe medicine or law, you know, the things the basics that everyone wanted to study at some point, how can we change? How can the government change mindsets of people and make them realize that vocational training is actually a good thing, so that they can embrace it wholly?
I think we need to revise the vocational training and how it is set up. You do realize that most of the vocational institutes or education centers that are pushing for vocational training and the like, most of them I think they lack the ethics of the education that we are used to. Of you have, you know, some people actually term students under vocational training as unruly beings, especially during their journey of education. Either because they do not have, you know, the beauty about our education system back in the day that when you have school uniforms, you can easily be identified. There is a way, when you have school uniforms, there is a way these schools actually shape us. And I think it goes back to what you were saying, that you can easily tell someone who has passed through ordinary level and A level, even when you just meet them. Because there is a way, when you pass through this ordinary education system that we've had, or we've, that we were groomed under, you're either into a system, you're driven into a system. You're supposed to have a uniform, supposed to reach at this time. You have to communicate in a given way. Something that in the vocational education is very rare to find.
And something that you're going to find for the rest of your life in your career. You're supposed to reach at a certain time. You're supposed to act a certain way. You're supposed to even carry yourself a certain way and dress a certain way. I mean, I see the suit every day.
So he went to high school.
He went to high school.
But besides that, if you're to look at it, because most of the vocational institutes that you will meet, people from vocational institutes, it's either someone who is acting like a university student, age 13. Now, we know how university students act. It's like there's a lot of freedom. You can easily come to class dressed anyhowly. And it's like we are not shaping them in the right way.
So as we give them skills, we need to also mold them.
Mold them. And I think it goes back to what you say, that there is a big difference. Because when you meet them, even when someone is around 23 and the other one who has gone through O-level and A-level at 23, there is a way they interact.
There is a difference.
There is a big difference. So you have to mold them, try to, you know, put, as you're skilling them, but also try to socially put them or prepare them to deal with different different classes of people.
Well, someone here says, great topic, vocational education is a composite of academic and practical training. And for example, a mechanical engineering student will also have a mathematical course, but relevant to the field. Believe it or not, the current academic education is to a large extent irrelevant to Africa. We are wasting a lot of resources in irrelevant courses, and yet tailors, carpenters, among others, are millionaires selling their products to Africa at enormous profits. Thank you so much. You didn't leave your name. Please leave your name next time. So anyway, it looks like vocational training is the way to go. And if we can marry it with what we have, yes. Chantal here says it is underrated, and I agree, because we need to now tailor it to what the job market needs today. It's no longer enough to have a bachelor's degree. What skills do you have? Do you have marketing skills? Can you even speak to an audience? Because public speaking is also an enormous skill that we need to embrace today. Negotiating skills. I mean, some people just go to the market and the price they are given, that's what they pay. Now, imagine you're procuring different items for a big organization and you have zero procurement negotiation skills. You don't have people skills. You're making it hard for people to work with you. So all of these things come hand in hand when it comes to training, and all of us should embrace this. Now, this conversation continues online, but for now, we will take a short break. Good Morning Uganda continues.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, one.
Use that word pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Industry Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinema and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster. UBC, inspiring Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
At a Wafe culture village, how they prepare luombo. Probably I'm so yet to get into marriage and do this for my man. But one interesting thing that you should also know about the luombo is that for the son-in-law, when you go to visit your in-laws, you have a full chicken. They prepare a full chicken for you in this luombo. So if you're a man and you've been seeing your girlfriend for some years, I think it is time for you to find time and go visit your in-laws, because you're missing out on something very delicious. But it also has a lot of meaning behind it, because the luombo is not just food, but there is a lot of meaning behind it. Why do they prepare it like that? What does it symbolize in marriage? A lot. And we are going to learn all this today. I am Irene Allen Namisang, and this is the DM Tourism Express. And I always tell you, I'm committed to uncovering all the beauties that we have in the country that should entice you and inspire you. Maybe travel somewhere in Uganda, the Pearl of Africa. Keep it tuned, Uganda Uncovered.
By names, Senga Caroline Nambi from Wafe Cultural Village, found in Mukono District, na Chief Managrama Sub-County, located at Kayunga Road. I'm going to introduce you how to prepare local sauce called oluwombo. When preparing luwombo, you just cut the youngest banana leaf from the banana plantation. You steam it on fire. You remove the interior part. Then to make it soften, after that, if you are going to make a chicken luwombo, meat luwombo, guinea luwombo, if it is chicken, you smoke it first. Then you prepare the ingredients. You can use tomatoes, onions, curry powder, green pepper, carrots, and so on, and enough salt. So you bring a basket, a clean one. You fold that luwombo, that is steamed banana leaf. Then underneath it, there is a piece of banana leaf also to prevent your soup through without going outside. Then you put your pieces inside. You add on the ingredients. Then you tie it humbly, slow by slow. If it is a luwombo for moko, you put that piece of meat called a gizzard, kokonkuru, underneath the luwombo. So. Then after that, you prepare a saucepan. You put in the banana stems, a piece of banana leaf to prevent water from going into your luwombo. Then you put your luwombo, you bind it calmly to prevent it being leaking out. Then you cover it. After that, you put it on the cooking stove. Within a meantime, it will be able to be served out. That's how we can make a luwombo, local sauce for Uganda. Now, today we are going to see luwombo making of chicken pieces, but not for. I'm going to translate for moko, but today is no moko today. Are you mokos of the day? No. So, here you are. Kati oleeta ebirungo byo nga wabiteeseteese bulungi wano ebifi byo. Singa ebadde enkoko oyinza okuba n'ebifi byo nga 10. Ebyange bitono temunnenya. Ebyange biki n'ebijja kumala abaana bange benkyazizza olwaleero. Singa luno oluwombo lwa muko, this is what we call onkoko nkulu or gizzard in English. What? You just hide it behind here. That's the way if it is for moko. Why is it so? Chikweke no. Then you add on your spices. You can put in tomatoes, curry powder, green peppers, onions, and so on, whatever you want. No soup in these birungos. As long as we never mazo steaming lang mazo bifumba bijja kukola supu wabyo. Then luwombo nga lwa muko, omuko asooka kunoonya this piece of gizzard here behind here. Enkya muli basenga nga senga olwaleero enkya ofumbira bbaawo ewuwo. Understood? Singa tanoonya kintu kino, that's not a real what husband. Simani oyo ali fake. Ajja yenna asooka kunoonya ki koko nkulu. That's the way to find out your lovers what. Yeah. Teekako akawuuwo. Akawuuwo kano kabeera kababuleko kuno kungulu. Kakuume akawoowo k'olulaga luno lwakoze eki lwababudde okuuma akawo nga konna kali abakyala. That's what we have these walls to keep your scent. Understood? Yeah. tutandika ofoldinga oluwombo lwaffe okulusiba bwe tuti kayinza okugenda olusiba bulungi ng'oluzingako bulungi. Tusiba oluki oluwombo lwaffe. Oluwombo tulusiba tussaako empulutulizo. Empulutulizo eno ziyamba okusumulula oluki oluwombo tulisiba bwe tuti. Oba lwa nnyama, oba lwa nkoko, oba lwa nyeeba, oba lwa magi. Aziro ng'aziyitiriza oluki oluwombo. Oluwombo lwayambanga nnyo abazadde awaka okugunjula abaana. Lwabangamu enva nnyingi eza famire. Then lwateekebwanga ku mmeeza y'omwami awaka. Temuga nti omwami agaba enva, yabanga n'oluwombo lwe special. Then ng'alaba omwana ow'empisa ennungi n'amuddiza ku kifi. Ow'empisa embi ne yeetereeza. N'amanya tebanziriza nsaagala kukola mirimu saakoza bintu. That's what we call oluwombo luwumbawumba amaka. First of all yasooka nkuddiza mukyala we aluteeseteese okumwebaza n'okulaga nti asiimye kyakoze eki kyafumbye. Bagamba okulinaana omukulu ataddiza olinaana empagi n'ekunkumulira omunyale.
Well in and welcome on board to the GMU Business Update this morning. I'm Jerome Paul Songo to give you details of what is making headlines from the world of business. And speaking of the business world, what we are going to definitely kickstart off our conversation with this morning is going to rotate around Uganda's oil and gas sector. In 2025, we expect a fast drop of oil, and that means Uganda's oil and gas sector is just months away to taking shape. Many are interested in knowing how this will definitely steer or spur economic growth, because it does look like something that will anchor us into the middle income economy. For Uganda, this is a big one, if you are to ask me, but then also for countries like Nigeria across Africa, who have been notably known for being the oil producing countries. They've benefited so much from the oil and gas sector. Looking at countries like the United Arab Emirates, who have also further benefited from the same, you can easily see why Uganda is making the right strides in the oil and gas. Now, our first business report this morning is rotating around the Uganda National Oil Company, because details coming in from there show that the president has appointed new board members, and the board chairperson is former DFCU bank manager and former DFCU managing director, that is Matthias Katamba, who has been appointed the board chairperson of the Uganda National Oil Company, and he is replacing businessman Emmanuel Katongole, whose 4-year, 2 terms expired last month. Now, on March 5th, 2024, in a letter to the Speaker of Parliament, that is Right Honourable Anita Ann Among, President Museveni designated Mr. Katamba and 5 other members for vetting. According to Section 41 of the Petroleum Exploration Development and Production Act, which establishes the Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, it does stipulate that the President appoints its board with approval from Parliament. And following the vetting process, the 5 members are now part of the board. And Mr. Matthias Katamba is now the board chairperson. Of course, by the look of things, you can easily see that oil companies are now daring and as well preparing for 2025 to see where Uganda positions itself in benefiting big, not only from the East African Crude Oil Pipeline project, but also Uganda's entire oil and gas sector. Now, rounding up the new UNOC board, Moses Kavanda, the acting commissioner for public administration in the Ministry of Finance. Then there is also Herbert Mujinzi, a principal engineer in the Ministry of Energy. Then Dr. Ivan Lule, who is a chemical engineer, and Ms. Justin Isenyi from the Vice President's office, and Zulaika Kasaija Mirembe, who is a lawyer. Now, when you look at the sextet was vetted last week by Parliament's appointments committee chaired by the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Thomas Tayebwa, and Parliament's Director of Communication, Chris Obore, could not immediately establish the committee sitting. The new board replaces the inaugural Katongole-led board, whose tenure ran from 2015 to last month, that is in February 2024. Now, Peter Mulisa, the UNOC head of legal and corporate affairs, said last evening that the new board will resume work as the earliest, would resume work earlier after receiving the instruments of power from the president. So with due effect, the new board is now going to receive the power well in. And that is something that you can easily look into and say, well, we'll wait to see how 2025 will shape up for Uganda, looking at the fact that the airport in Hoima is also taking center stage. You want to believe we are going and taking the right strides as a country. Besides that, let's talk matters Microsoft. As details coming through show, Microsoft has hired DeepMind co-founder to lead the artificial intelligence unit. Now, artificial intelligence is taking different strides of various economies world over. Many countries are now investing in artificial intelligence in various sectors of the economy to see how countries can easily earn from the same. For those countries that are trying to cope up to speed with artificial intelligence, especially for those who are trying to safeguard their jobs that are going to be lost due to the emergency of artificial intelligence, many of the others, especially in the private sector, are investing heavily to see how artificial intelligence helps them grow. Now, according to new developments, Suleiman, who is one of the biggest names in artificial intelligence revolution that is taking the technology world by a storm in the last 2-3 years, you're going to look at it as someone who has been hired as a major move by Microsoft, which already partners with ChatGPT creator Open Artificial Intelligence. Now, of all the tech giants, Microsoft has moved the fastest into adopting generative artificial intelligence, integrating its powers into a wide range of products, most notably through its Copilot chatbot. Now, he did reveal, Suleiman did reveal that he's excited to announce that today he's joining Microsoft as the CEO of Microsoft Artificial Intelligence. He says he will be leading and this artificial intelligence revolution to the right direction, and he'll be leading all consumer artificial intelligence products and research within artificial intelligence developments, including Copilot, Bing, and Edge. Suleiman revealed this using his X handle. Suleiman said he would be leaving his role as chief executive of Inflection, a startup he confounded and became a promising rival to Open Artificial Intelligence, building the models that deliver ChatGPT and style artificial intelligence. He added that some key collaborators at Inflection, including co-founder Karen Simonian, had chosen to join his team at Microsoft to push for the artificial intelligence and smoothen the different innovations within artificial intelligence. And well, how ready are you to cope up with artificial intelligence? Because it does seem like it is tapping into various sectors of the economies world over. The uptake on the African continent is still limited. However, various private entities are picking it up. Lastly, from our business updates this morning is the Forex market, courtesy of the Bank of Uganda. Opening time in the morning saw the US dollar buy at 3,879.33, or selling at 3,869.33. 3,889.33. Midday, the US dollar was buying at 3,875.04 while selling at 3,885.04. And closing time saw the US dollar buy at 3,874.88 while selling at 3,884.88. In the observation, you could easily see it is now dropping from the 4,000 mark where it was down to 3,800, approximately around 3,900 Ugandan shillings. Now, the Great Britain pound, which was earlier last week at 5,000, is now buying at 4,924.58, while selling at 4,937.29, roughly still in the same figures of 5,000. Really depends on the Forex bureau you are using. But courtesy of the Bank of Uganda, that is how those currencies are trending and faring. The euro buying at 4,210.05, while selling at 4,220.92. As the Kenyan shilling was buying at 28.91 shillings while selling at 28.99 shillings. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.51 shillings while selling at 1.52 shillings. A slight drop in the buying because earlier a day, that was on Monday, it was at 1.52. Then the South African rand was buying at 203.93 while selling at 204.46. This is as of close of business yesterday. A few changes coming in hours, so by the time you find it today morning, there would be some slight changes in there. I'll be right back tomorrow morning to give you more details from the world of business. So stick around. Good Morning Uganda continues with the traffic updates now with Monica right here.
That's right. Good Morning Uganda continues with the traffic updates with me, Olive Monica Najuma. Now today we are going all the way to Makindye, starting in Lukuli, to see how the traffic situation looks on the roads that side. We'll be moving into Lukuli and then Salama Road and see how you can connect to Entebbe Road and of course later on to the heart of business, that is the Central Business District. Now starting off in Lukuli, we see that we have smooth flow of traffic as at this minute and still continuing within the same area that is of Lukuli. We now experience a few red zones in some sections along Lukuli Road, but still for the most part, it is a smooth flow of traffic right there in Makindye Lukuli Road. Continuing still with Lukuli Road, the green zones continue. We still have smooth flow of traffic for the most part. I see those coming in from Migade Road. There is smooth flow of traffic over there. You should be able to move smoothly to different parts of Makindye. Church Road is also looking good this morning, and still looking at Lukuli side, there is still smooth flow of traffic. Now for those coming in from where Kayemba Road and Lukuli connect together, here we now start to experience a few orange zones which are indicative of slow movement of traffic. Now those coming in from Hanlon Road, the other side, I see that there is especially for those going to town, I see that there is orange zones here up until you connect to Namasole Road. Here you will now start to experience a bit of a delay, and as you continue along with Namasole Road, I see that for the most part up until where it connects to Lukuli Road, there is a slow movement of traffic. Those yellow or orange zones that you're seeing on your screen indicate that traffic jam is starting to build up in this section. But for those coming in from Kayemba Road, the situation is still smooth. We have green zones indicative of smooth flow of traffic. Continuing with Namasole Road, we still have smooth flow of traffic. Those coming in from Bibiana Road, I see that, yes, the traffic situation there is also still in good hands. You are still able to move smoothly on the road. For the most part, Namasole Road is a green area, so you should be able to move smoothly. Now, looking at Mobutu Road, this intersection that connects Mobutu Road to Namasole Road, a little bit of a delay there, and still on Namasole Road, we continue with the yellow zones here that are indicative of traffic jam that is starting to build up in some areas, but for the most part, most areas still have smooth flow of traffic. Now, As Namasole Road connects to Salama Road, here we are experiencing traffic jam coming through from Namasole Road, and also traffic jam coming in through from Salama Road. The good news is, in as much as traffic jam has started to build up in this area, we are now witnessing red zones. It is still not intense, so you won't lose too much time, at least right now, if you're in the road right now. But we can't know for sure what will happen later on. Continuing with Namasole Road, we are still experiencing smooth flow of traffic for the most part. A bit of delays here and there, but for the most part, it is smooth going through. Now, if you're coming in from Busabala Road connecting to Namasole Road, you may experience a bit of a delay right before you join Namasole Road. Now, as Namasole Road connects to Kampala Entebbe Road, here we are going to experience some bit of a delay. And continuing ahead with the Entebbe Road, now we see that the traffic situation is starting to get out of hand, because for the most part now we see a long stretch of a red zone along the Kampala Entebbe Road. And as we move along, we see that the traffic situation continues on this side of the road as you move ahead. So if you are still at home, this is the reminder for you to now think about leaving your home, because if we are experiencing traffic on Entebbe Road right now, what that means is that it might actually get worse later on. So maybe this is the time you should be thinking of leaving home and hitting the road right away. Well, that does it for the traffic updates as of this Wednesday. I'll be back again tomorrow to share the same. For now, I hope you drive safe. And of course, ensure that you check your car. When is the last time you checked your oil or changed it? These are things you need to consider before you hit the road this morning. Good morning, and Good Morning Uganda still continues.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
The cardinal role of a government is maintaining law and order, safeguarding citizens' rights, and providing essential public goods and services. Throughout its tenure, the government has consistently upheld these principles. This foundation creates an environment conducive to delivering crucial social services to citizens through diverse approaches such as taxation, strategic budgeting, and effective policy implementation. A transformative education system, advancing healthcare provisions, enhancing social welfare, and propelling infrastructure growth, all of which continue to evolve daily to cater to the population's expectations. Supported by a meticulously organized network of ministries, government remains committed to serving its citizens. Coming soon on your public broadcaster, The Front Bench, your interface with the government every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with Joram Paul Sonko, only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Hams Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso, every Wednesday live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Taking care of your bones is like giving your body a solid foundation for a healthy and active life. And now, let's dive into practical advice that you can easily weave into your daily routine, ensuring your bones stay strong and support you every step of the way. Number 1. Adequate calcium intake. Calcium is crucial for bone health. Include calcium-rich foods in your diet, such as dairy products, leafy green vegetables, tofu, and fortified foods. If needed, consider calcium supplements, but consult with your healthcare provider first. Number 2. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is necessary for the absorption of calcium. Spend time outdoors to get natural sunlight and include vitamin D-rich foods in your diet, such as fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified foods. If necessary, your healthcare provider may recommend vitamin D supplements. Number 3. Regular weight-bearing exercise. Engage in weight-bearing exercises like walking, jogging, dancing, or strength training. These activities help stimulate bone formation and maintain bone density. Number 4. Quit smoking. Smoking has been linked to lower bone density and an increased risk of fractures. Quitting smoking is beneficial for overall health, including bone health. Number 5. Limit alcohol consumption. Excessive alcohol consumption can negatively impact bone health. If you drink alcohol, do so in moderation. The recommended limit is 1 drink per day for women and 2 drinks or less per day for men. Number 6. Maintain a healthy body weight. Being underweight can contribute to bone loss, so it's important to maintain a healthy body weight. However, extreme dieting or excessive weight loss can also be detrimental to bone health, so aim for a balanced approach. Number 7. Bone density testing. Discuss with your healthcare provider if you should have a bone density test to assess your risk for osteoporosis. The results can help guide interventions to prevent bone loss. Number 8. Monitor medications. Some medications, such as certain steroids and certain anticonvulsants, can affect bone health. If you are on long-term medication, discuss potential effects on bone density with your healthcare provider. Number 9. Balance and fall prevention. Take steps to prevent falls, as fractures can significantly impact bone health. This includes maintaining a clutter-free home, using handrails, wearing appropriate footwear, and addressing any issues with balance. Number 10. Healthy diet. Ensure a well-balanced diet that includes an adequate intake of nutrients essential for bone health, such as magnesium, phosphorus, vitamin K, and vitamin C. Your bones support you every day. Now, it's time to give them the care they deserve. As you embark on this journey, know that a commitment to bone health is a gift to your future self, a promise of strength, resilience, and a life well lived. Thanks for joining us today. This program is produced by Sani Productions, powered by UBC TV, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
to you, and thank you so very much for being with us. And good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the agenda. In case you have just joined, I'm Robert Chiravo Munyonyi. Very excited. You know, when there's so much heat, it's not raining. Yes, people suffer, but also sometimes there is heat in different spheres. Some in terms of the wallet, others political pressure, others. But today, I choose not to discuss issues of weather, rather to discuss that is the trends shaping organization, strategy, and innovation when it comes to ICT. And with me, I have a very competent person to discuss this because he is the CEO ICT Association of Uganda, and that is Kurunyinji Gideon. You're most welcome, Gideon.
Thank you very much.
Allow me use Gideon.
Yeah, you should use Gideon. Yeah. So,
I don't want to.
Good morning, our listeners out there and people watching us. Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Now, briefly, for my viewer to better understand, when you talk about the ICT Association of Uganda, what do you do? What is this all about? Briefly.
Yes, the ICT Association of Uganda is a pivotal, non-for-profit, member-based organization that gives a dynamic platform to researchers, ICT professionals, and policymakers. All these come together to discuss innovations that they are coming up with, but also pioneering key strategies that would steer the ICT sector in Uganda. Our mission is to bridge the digital divide. And as we bridge the digital divide, it is through that we, as an association, offer this platform to our members. But beyond that, ICT Association of Uganda, we believe we are not just an association. We believe we are also a movement that seeks to redefine and position Uganda as a leader in technological advancements through policy and key technology advancements that we are having in the digital era. So that's it briefly about the ICT Association of Uganda.
Yeah. Now, when we talk about ICT coming to Uganda, maybe a picture of the region, how is vis-a-vis our GDP? Because we see so much investment is being done in ICT.
Yeah.
But what are we reaping out of this? Are we just saying this is the trend to take globally? It is ICT. We are moving on e-government, everything, digitalization, information technology, new innovations are coming up. But when we look at in terms of GDP, are we on the right track? Is it yielding?
Yes, you are very right to start it from that angle. And to all the viewers out there, I would like all of us to imagine together before I head into the GDP angle. Apple, a country, has more GDP than Italy as a country. A company called Nvidia now, that is, it has become one of the latest companies. It is equivalent to, it's richer than Canada, and it is richer than Mexico. Also, Amazon is richer than many countries. If we are to go in, they are worth many trillions. Now, when we discuss ICT versus GDP of a country, it is very important because Uganda's GDP stands at around 114 US dollars, 114 million US dollars. And ICT is contributing only around 9 million US dollars. That puts us at to be 9 billion. Uganda's GDP is 114 billion US dollars, and we are having only 9 billion US dollars as the ICT sector we are contributing out of 114 billions. This means that we are contributing averagely 7%. It is the same trend we've seen in 2017 and 2016. We still have been contributing around 7%. Now, the shocker is Tanzania has similar percentage in terms of their GDP and the ICT. The same applies to Rwanda. The same applies to Kenya. ICT contribution to the general GDP is still in the same percentages in the same region. So you cannot say that the problem is only based on Uganda alone. No, it is based on the interpretation in the whole region, how we're looking at ICT. But in Nigeria, ICT contributes 15% to their GDP. Now, why are we seeing ICT contributing much more to the GDP of a country versus the contribution in the East African region? So, to me, I feel that we are at a point where we need to reimagine the digital strategies we are giving also, companies out there, to reimagine the ICT sector, to see it raise more money than it is raising now, but not just in Uganda, for the region. Thank you.
Now, when you talk about the region, very important also to understand is why is it contributing that less than it should be?
Thank you. In 2015, Uganda was announced the most entrepreneurial city in Africa, Kampala. And currently it is Kigali, followed by Lagos, and Kampala is the third. This is not to discount the fact that this, even if they say those countries are more innovative than us, let's just appreciate that Kampala is one of the most entrepreneurial cities in Africa. And if we examine the data well, we are the most entrepreneurial city in Africa. Now, if we are one of the most entrepreneurial cities in Africa, is that why don't we look at the detail of this business sector? Number one, we are having the corporate entrepreneurship and the relationship with innovation not good. So the contribution for IT would have been greater if the innovations that are coming up have a relationship with the entrepreneurship. As people are doing entrepreneurship, as they are doing business out there, can we maybe look at how can they utilize digital strategies? Can we spend more time in the laboratory before we come out to bring out businesses? But also, Mr. Moderator, I would like us to tell the story of how businesses are impacted by ICT, because it's possible to have computers, and this is where we want to change the conversation, sir. We want to change the conversation from a company having their business done on computers, having a website. Of course, we are aware that there are few websites of companies that have. We know that companies don't have computers, most of them, but we are doing a lot of discussions with them. So let's look at not waiting for people to develop. Let's move ahead. We want to go ahead to start saying the data you have as a company, what story does it tell? We want to discuss with companies, how can you scale with that data? How can you scale and tell a better story as a company so that you make more wealth, so that you make more money? And as you're making that much money, it will inform and help the policymakers to create better strategies that will make us build also companies that are going to disrupt. Now, when we create disruption, now that's how we shall end up having companies bad out of Africa, like maybe the Amazons that are out there. So my challenge is the framework of innovation. We have not created a proper framework that relates between corporate entrepreneurship and innovation. So that lag has created a big gap, and now we are creating businesses that are not innovative, that are not telling any data. You ask an organization, show me your data. What story does it tell? It has no story it tells. So it's such things that are making us call IT professionals together to say, let's examine these things. Let's call organization leaders. Let's examine what we can do to change so that we improve and have best practices. Thank you.
Now, Gideon, you're here emphasizing ICT, explaining trends, why organizations, but I think it's also very important for us to look into why do we see low adoption, and even where we think they are, it is maybe more stylish way of saying they are doing things, but they lack meaningful use of ICT. Just like you said, an organization may have computers, they may have a few apps that help manage internally, but they are not getting to that. And one even may ask you if they own a business. Well, if I've been doing, I see recently URA came up with the IFLI system. But you find that someone will tell you it disturbs. If I've been doing things, I wish they left us in the other old way. Yet it has more benefits, by the way, for not only for you, RA, but you, the business person. That even if you lost your paperwork, even if everything is just clear there. So, why do you think we have still found it very hard to make a breakthrough and appreciate when you talk about innovations and you go to, if I own a company now, someone knocks at my door and says, maybe in this business, we have these ICT innovations and they cost you this much. The person will just not quickly appreciate. These ones also.
So what's happening is the interpretation of trends has been wrong mostly. Number one, first of all, the use of internet. The context in which we've understood internet in Africa has been to use it for entertainment, not education. Now, when we don't use certain trends right, and we don't change the mindset of people and communicate to them well, that's why for us we are the Internet Communications and Technology Association of Uganda. We want to change the perspectives, but also we have low adoption rates because of the context within which we have understood digital trends. Now, that's why organizations end up having computers. Now even internet has come. Everyone says, no, we'll research. We don't want an IT person in our office. So they go and read what they should do. But when you have an IT executive in office, they are the pioneers of innovation in your organization. So you find we are not giving them, we are using, let me say it this way, we are using old strategies, we are using hardwired approaches to say that we want to innovate. We are not giving teams freedom to create new tools. We are also not telling our youth to spend, which I am part of, to spend more time in laboratories. Now all of us want the microphone, all of us want to speak, all of us feel we don't know our role we can play in the trends that are happening in technology. For me, and us as an association, we understand that it is important to understand the trends and know the role we play as organization leaders, as companies. If we don't interpret them right, we'll end up having a good infrastructure, but for a wrong use. You have computers, but they are not performing to the ability you're supposed to do. Quick scenario, Mr. Moderator. Our city closes at 5 p.m. Should a city in 2024 be closing when you have computers, when you have the power of internet? Should the entire city be open 24/7? And it is because we have not interpreted the trends right. People have to log off and they go out. But these could be new shifts that are coming in. This, because you are a television, you open 24/7. Now, telecommunication teams have been left to work 24/7. But these organizations have not been told to switch now to go 24/7. Now, it's because how we understood trends, we never engaged, let's say, stakeholders. That's why, as an association, we have policymakers as part of us. We have organization leaders as part of us. We have development partners that are as part of us. We are actually part of something called TICONA. TICONA are all African associations out there. We are together. We ask them questions. They ask us questions. We guide them. They guide us. We work with the Ministry of ICT. We work with Uganda Communication Commission. So you feel the organizations have stayed in silos, wanting to work alone, but they have found out that actually they just have computers and they are not adopting anything. Thank you.
Now let's look at illiteracy here, ICT. I'll just give you an example. Someone calls you and says, I would have paid you, but banks are closed. Then you tell that person, but what do you mean by banks are closed? There is e-banking. Just using your phone, go to your bank account at the comfort of your home, wire money to my phone. I can withdraw that money at any time of my convenience. Or I can even send that very money to another person, purchase, and we do business. Then someone will tell you who goes through that. Yet, they are willing to lose part of their time, drive to a banking hall, withdraw money, then also come and give you that money. Yes. You know, life is made simple by ICT innovations, but People are not adopting, and this is what makes me wonder. Others will tell you those things disturb. So much as you're pushing for organizational, if the MD of an organization cannot pay someone, doesn't have e-banking, whatever innovation it is, by their bank to access their account at any time to make any withdrawal or transfer funds, then how do you think that person is going in their organization, in their business, push? These may seem simple things, yeah, but deterrents. That's why many will choose to go on TikTok, go on WhatsApp, where it is just moving through and you have what you need to see, just useless time of using it.
Yeah, so thank you very much. That's a very good question. And digital literacy levels are on a very, they are on a very bad scale in Uganda. We are not performing well on digital literacy. We did work across the Ugandan market. We went to all sectors, because as I State of Uganda, we must work with all sectors. Agribusiness, these are agriculture people that are digging, that are creating good products, but that have now mechanized and become well developed. And they will receive SMSs that are giving them good statistics about prices and what about everything.
Even weather forecasts.
Even weather forecasts are happening. But now we are seeing organizations delay to change, and it's because of organization leaders. And we have decided to onboard them as an association. There is an organization, Mr. Moderator, that I'll tell you, that one day was bragging, it's a bank actually in town here, it was bragging that for us, our systems are not online, people still sign using checks, but also they have these books of old circles. It's a bank. So that they sign and they don't. So they said, no, for us, we are not hacked, we are happy. And even the organizations that are doing that, they have refused to even have a computer. And the reason is we are prioritizing profit over innovating. It's like when you go in our villages back there, you find someone has how many thousands of cows, but sleeps in a hut. Grass-thatched hut. For him, his point is that he doesn't want to spend his money, at least improve and develop. Now, it's such people that have affected the transformation of the sector. Now, if we are to look at the payment issue you've raised, it's a very big one. Because our market will continue closing on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if people don't receive, but digital payments have simplified it, thanks to Bank of Uganda and other stakeholders like FITSPA, who have worked with very many financial technology, the financial technology startups. And now people can send and receive money easily. Through USSD, you can receive money and send it. But the organizations that delay has led to a huge cost of business. Now, when you research about Uganda, from the investor perspective, now, what you're talking about, in a way, digital literacy, it affects investors too. When investors come to Uganda Investment Authority, and when they come to UNITA Uganda, and when they come to the ICT Association of Uganda, because they talk to us. Now, when they come to us as an association, because government sends them to us, we find that heads of companies are not digital literate. Now, it's very hard to tell a company that there is an organization in Japan that wants to use some of the things you have and it will pay you. The person will not believe. Now, to the detail is that when you search about Uganda from an investor perspective, they say this is what Uganda is called. And this is what we want to change about the nation. They say that Uganda is it's one of the most entrepreneurial cities in Africa, as we talked about it earlier. And they say that, yes, it's very, very entrepreneurial, but it lacks the framework, it lacks the programs to sustain those investments. Because people start businesses and they close them, or they change, or they don't scale them. So it is simply because our digital literacy levels are very poor. Now investors come, now having given that notion, they even run away. So, sir, it is very critical that organization leaders must be the first people to be digitally literate. You find an organization leader fearing to move, to touch his phone. You go to villages, you go to farmers. People can watch TikTok, but now tell them to browse a free website that has free videos. It is alarming. Someone even is scared to learn on YouTube, to learn on free channels that we have created, which we have invested in money, not just as an institution, but also our clients and members have invested in a lot of attention to them to make sure there is education. So edtech is affected, the insurance sector is affected, everything, medical insurance is affected, medication too is affected, how to easily give prescriptions. These things should happen even on a phone call. Even on a phone, someone typing how he's feeling and already he gets some information. So we need to support digital literacy and touch it as me and you, touch it as the viewer, touch it as all of us, because it is a very key matter. As organizations are moving ahead of the others, let us not forget that Skype was one of the best video telecommunications company. On video, Skype was the best by Microsoft. Chinese came and cooked Zoom in COVID. Zoom has overtaken Skype. It overtook, now no one can mention Skype right now. Yet Skype was very rich then. Why do you think organization leaders are not sometimes taking the burden to be digital literate? It is because we have rested. A writer said, Skype rested on their laurels. It rested, it was happy in its prosperity, but it never saw the change that is coming. Hence the uncertainty. So they weren't ready. Thank you.
Now, also, as we continue to push for ICT innovation, proper usage, one thing with ICT is it keeps on revolving. What was working today, tomorrow may not be working. These changes, and I think these also sometimes are a deterrent for people to invest into it. There was a time when we had these desktop computers, CPUs, and someone would think, who bought those then, if he was looking at 10 years, then came the laptops. Now you see people are using tabs. Then someone also tells you, no, rather than buying a tab, buy a phone of this type, you know. So these continuous changing trends, ICT is not conclusive. People are developing every now and then. Now, how do we cope with this for it not to be a deterrent for investors into this sector and those that want to engage more into doing things with ICT?
Yes. Now, that's where we come in, like how we're having dialogue and conversations. We gather brilliant minds, the top brilliant minds in our sector. Now, firstly, I want to tell you that our board has a very big brilliant minds. We have very big brilliant minds there. First of all, the founders of the association, the current board we have, which also has the founders of the association. People are brilliant. Now, Uganda has brains, Africa has brains. Now, in that context, if we don't understand the trends and understand when to invest, when not to invest, this is what the brilliant minds tell you. Now, I may not be the brilliant mind, but the association has brilliant minds. So my role is simply to allow you as an organization to ask, should we invest in this trend that is coming? Or which trend should we invest in? Now, we tell you action-ready, future-proof strategies. We tell you what are we sure about that is changing, the way business is being done. And we even tell you who has moved in already, who hasn't moved in, when not to move in, when to move in. For example, there are things that came before back then. It was called blockchain technology, and it was highly misinterpreted. But we stood our ground. We are working with blockchain teams, and we are still telling them how to best participate in what is happening. So when we don't understand trends, we are putting ourselves at an issue of wanting to walk the journey ourselves without asking other organization leaders, what are you applying? Asking other IT teams, what are you applying? That is easy for you to joint problem solve with other leaders. Apart from joint problem solving, you need to know when to move in, and even the cost is not high, and I want to insist on that. Why would I say the cost is not high? We have partnerships with development partners, and also we have partnerships internal, where you can get some of these technologies at a low price. We can even tell you the ones that are currently free that you can try to use as an organization, and when you're ready, you adopt. So when you act in your own wisdom and don't work with the brilliant minds and the whole sector and network with them, ask them what challenges they are facing, show them what you're doing, it will make the work easier to not only adopt, but also to scale and cut costs. So the challenge has been, how can we have future-proof solutions? But the association is there. We have researchers, we have IT professionals, we have a wealth of even specialists, subject matter experts that we work with to inform organizations. Our members get this information free of charge.
Oh, very good. Now, Gideon, let's also look at the cost of internet, because when you talk about ICT, whatever innovation you're going to do, the truth is you will need a cost. You're incurring a cost. Now, when we talk about our country, I know there have been some slight reductions. I want to use that word. If you remember our viewers during COVID-19, those that had students at campus and they had to study using internet. I remember one time I had a niece home and I thought even this person was just taking money from me, rather this guys over here studying. Till he said, no, let's try to go through just one session. And I want to tell you, almost a day you would spend about 10,000. Now just imagine if you had 2 students, that is 20,000. So isn't this a barrier in one way or the other? I know your association is not government, but how best can we then handle this?
So there are 2 things, sir. One is the cost of doing business, and then the cost of internet. We help organizations offset the cost of doing business by helping them, showing them very good strategies they can apply immediately, and some strategies they can apply at no cost, and others they can apply at a cost, but the cost of at an easy adaptation cost. Because we understand you may buy the best equipment and you bring it here, it doesn't work. Now that is a huge waste of adoption. Now, that is a cost that we assure our members and help them not to go into those losses. So that is one of the costs we help offset for organizations, and that's a very big cost. Now, we also give organizations insight on the future of internet. For example, we are going to task someone today to explain to us about cloud, because the future of internet is no longer going to be that you have to always real-time connect with a server immediately. There are solutions cloud has now brought in, whereby you can work as if you're not online, and maybe every after 1 or 2, 3, 4 hours, the communication with the internet servers will happen. So when it happens, that will ease the cost, because now you find the data transmission cost will be low. Now, we are working towards cutting through innovations. How do we cut the cost of internet? But we are helping organizations to cut the cost of other technology areas, so that the cost of internet, it's a big matter. Now, to address directly the cost of internet, making sure that, yes, we like, for example, EdTech. EdTech currently, we also partly advocate through our members for some websites to not be charged money or to be charged internet. And those programs have been through telecoms. Now there are several sites which you can access without having internet and study. And we want to advocate for more of those. But also, we are working with NITA Uganda and Uganda Communications Commission on such conversations. But before we say the cost of internet is high, we must work with an association, raise our complaints, send back data, we do surveys with them, then we inform the policymakers on the true cost of internet, on the true cost of every barrier they face. Why do they brand Uganda as a country that is very innovative, but with no framework on how to guide, on how to grow the businesses? It is because of this. Number one, we have not interpreted the trends right, and that means we can't have disruption. When you don't have disruption or big innovations, like we have this app that is trending, that is moving like this, then we can now say, policy, as an association, there's this policy that you're having that is hindering our growth. There is internet cost that is happening that is hindering our growth. So yes, internet is a cost, but let us innovate, let us disrupt the sector. If we interpret the trends right, we'll disrupt the sector, and if we disrupt the sector, we can quickly sit Ministry of ICT down, it calls various stakeholders down, they say, but people, we are having more people being employed by this ICT thing. ICT Association of Uganda will come with the data, with what people are saying. Now, if people don't lobby through an association, if people don't ask such things through an association, I beg to believe that it is going to be hard, because you can't say internet costs are high, but what informs it? We must work with people, companies, and we do surveys, and we build a case and say, oh, internet costs are high.
Now, Gideon, in the interest of time, I must let you go. But in your concluding remarks, let's also look at the cocktail and, of course, how you are planning to come together and push this further.
Yes. Number one is to look at why should ICT professionals network? Why should they network? Why should organization leaders network? Is firstly to joint problem solve with other experts, but also to understand the key strategies other organizations are having, and also what we are having in plan as an association, as key stakeholders. At the Cocktail and Learn, we are going to have brilliant minds ask, but also there are other brilliant minds that are not in the pictures there, that are going to be present. Now, we have something called Q&A, where we'll move around the microphone and people will give their opinions and questions and they will answer. Now, this is starting very early. It is starting by 4 p.m. We want to start the fireside chat because we want to finish very early. Now, we want to engage as members to network and know each other and share challenges, share opportunities that are coming with each other. And that is a lot of business that we would give to different salesmen and also to different high-level organization leaders, so they can plug into each other. There is a company in agribusiness that can plug into a financial technology company. There's a company that is doing networking that can plug into in the agribusiness company. There is a company that is doing education technology and it's teaching companies that can use someone's agribusiness or farm to train from. Now, it's such relationships that we want to build, so that the ICT sector does not seem that we are working alone. As you can see on our panel, we're having James Biaruhanga, who is the MD of Rock Cloud, on the same panel with investment, Uganda Investment Authority. Now, in the terms of investors, then also we're having MTN people speak. Now, this is coming together as a whole community to speak and see how do we transform this sector. And we want to receive everyone. We want to tell every IT professional and organization leader, please come early by 4 p.m. Thank you very much.
Well, it's been a good time knowing more about ICT and why actually you should prioritize it in your organization, in your institutions. Thank you so much, Gideon, and of course our viewers. Hope you will be there. I'll leave room for Ruben to take you through sports updates. See you in the next hour. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787